Hello. Welcome to Reasons to Say,
where we give you reasons to see.
and not to say.
Thor the Dark World!
Let's fly. Reason to see number 1. Thor.
Definitely a Thor movie.
This is definitely a Thor movie. Thor is fucking awesome in this film. Because in the first one, he's like Thor the God of Thunder for like a solid 10 minutes. In this one, he is Thor the God of Thunder the entire time. It's what you want to see. Just him doing a bunch of different hammer tricks, flying around, kicking ass. He is the shit. And he's funny too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good logical progression, and it's neat to see that sort of juxtaposition, because the first time you have him having to become worthy enough to be, you know, Thor the God of Thunder, to wield that hammer, and now you get to see the full movie where he's proven himself, and now he is like a tried and true warrior, and he's pretty awesome.
And you know, it's like they got the character arc of like, is he ready to be king? Is this what he really wants? And early on in the film, you get to check out this guy's hot ass freaking body. I felt like cheering when it happened.
Yeah, he is pretty ripped.
Yes, sexy.
Reason to see number 2. Loki.
First Thor, I didn't really care that much for him. I just thought he was kind of just a slithering snake. I liked him more in the Avengers. I thought they made an improvement. But this is my favorite portrayal of Loki we've had yet. He gets a lot more character this time around. There's a lot more depth to this guy. He's not just Mr. Evil Guy again. More humanity to the performance. And I really enjoyed the hell out of him. And he's a total blast to watch.
Well, yeah, it's like you've seen him sort of come to that place where he's becoming evil in the first movie, and then you see him get to be a supervillain in Avengers. And now in this movie, there's sort of that gray area in between where he's evil and imprisoned, but then some shit goes down, and then it's like, well, is he really that evil?
And like the relationship between him and Thor, rather than just, brother, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Because I want to, is much more this time around. It's more fun to watch. There's great chemistry between the two. They bounce off each other better than ever. It was my favorite part of the movie, was those two together.
And that's the most interesting stuff, you know, and the stuff that gives you the most to actually chew on and pick apart is Loki as a character and how he and Thor play off each other, and Loki's motivations. Like, that's the meatiest stuff.
Reason to see number 3. Directing and cinematography. I love the look of this film a lot. You know, it seems a lot more shot on the wide lens, and it does have that darker appeal about it. After all, it's Thor the Dark World, and this is a sequel, so it's gonna be darker. Everything about it was just captured excellently. It kind of has like a Star Wars and Lord of the Rings vibe about it. It's very fun to watch, and you know, they got a bunch of different themes they're dealing with, you know, because they got like humor, they got a lot of dark stuff, and they got action, and it's all captured excellently.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's like, this movie is both darker and
Funnier.
darker and lighter, than the first movie. It seems to be paced pretty well, and you know, it's all very snappy. It is really well shot and well captured, and there's lots of really great stuff to look at. It's not 100% on the tone, because it does kind of shift in weird ways sometimes, but it's a very solid job from a guy who's done a lot of this kind of stuff, and you can tell.
It deals with like a much bigger universe this time around, even bigger than the Avengers, and wow, just pulled off excellently. Gotta give the guy kudos for directing an awesome fucking finale. I don't want to give it away, but it's very creative, deals with different realms and worlds, and it's totally unique.
Reason to see number 4. Action and visual effects.
Like I said earlier, Thor just kicks way more ass this time around, you know? I liked him in the first one because he got to show he can kick ass even without his powers. But this time you get to see him kick ass with his powers. His powers seem necessary in this one, and damn, is it just... There's some moments where you're like, that was fucking sweet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really cool action, and this movie is... Earth is almost an afterthought. It's like most of this movie takes place either on Asgard or in one of the different realms, and that opens you up to a whole different kind of action.
It's like fantasy, adventure, science fiction action.
Yeah, it's like this movie reminded me a lot of Lord of the Rings or something like that, because you get those sweeping sets, armies battling each other, and creatures, and it's all captured very well. And I mean, there's a reason we're sort of combining effects, because the effects and action go hand in hand in this movie, and they work really well together, you know? And
I like all the fighting that it took place in Asgard. It did look a lot like Star Wars, and I thought that was fucking sweet. I'm like, if there's any movie that's gonna look like Star Wars, it should be this film. And it was, just fucking yes. Reason to see number 5. The humor.
There is a lot more humor in this movie.
There is a lot of humor. Sometimes the humor seems a little out of character.
It's a little written.
Yeah, it seems a little bit like a comedy writer came in and threw in some punchlines and stuff.
Yeah, it is a little bit like, hey, joke time.
But there are some hilarious moments.
Yeah.
Loki made me crack up a few times, you know? Like, there are some really, truly funny moments. And most of the time it takes place within the characters.
Well, see, that's the thing, is it is a bit uneven conceptually, because sometimes it's funny dialogue, hey, and then other times it's just like characters playing off each other. But there are instances from both that still made me laugh a lot. Even if I was like, this is silly, I was still like, but I'm laughing. Yeah,
check it out for its funniness.
And I mean,
Marvel
Earth
likes being funny.
You know, Earth, pretty much all the Earth scenes are a comedy routine.
Reason to see number 6. Idris Elba.
The one black guy in Asgard.
One black guy. There's one Asian guy, there's one black guy, there's one really fat, like, beard guy.
I think when he did the first Thor, I don't remember him being that famous, but he's caught on to a lot more fame since, and they took advantage of that this time around, because they made him way cooler. He's not just some guy looking at the stars all day and then, you know, taking the sword in and out of that hole. He gets to show off his skills, powers. He is the shit, especially this one scene, you know, and oh man, just fucking dynamite, man. I thought they made total improvements all around. They advanced everything all around, and they even advanced this character.
Well, yeah, this movie does do a lot of giving you what you want, I guess, because it seems like Marvel really listened when people were like, Idris Elba is super awesome, because he's always in the news. Fuck. Sorry. Idris Elba is like always in the news for being announced for this role or that role, and he's been in a lot of movies recently, and he's a really popular actor now, and so they were like, we gotta get more of this guy, and it's always a delight to have him on screen.
He's a great science fiction actor. From Pacific Rim and this, it's just like, this guy knows how to do this genre pretty damn well.
Well, and he's one of those guys where it's like, even if there isn't a ton of scripting around him, he can still bring a lot of character to it, because he's a great actor, you know?
And he's black.
So black.
Reason to see number 7. Stellan Skarsgård.
I really enjoyed him in this, because in the first Thor and Avengers, he's a very serious character. And in any movie this guy does, he's usually a villain or something, and he's a very serious character all the time. But in this one, they totally turned him into like a comedic element. I thought he was funny. Like, the transition made sense to me to make him funny. I got a blast watching this guy. He was totally enjoyable for me.
See, I'm torn on Stellan Skarsgård, because I do enjoy him. I did enjoy watching him. I was a little bummed just on principle that they were like, hey, remember Eric Selvig? He's just a punchline now. He's just here to be silly. But at the same time, I was still laughing, and I was still enjoying it.
Well, he does become more important as the film progresses.
Not really, though, because
in the finale.
Not even really, though, because like that's still Natalie Portman figuring that shit out.
Yeah, but there's this one moment that I won't give away where it's like, yeah, without him, that character wouldn't be alive.
I guess.
Reason to see number 8. Rene Russo.
She's not in it a ton, but they did some things with her character where you're like, yes, she is Thor's mother.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I was glad they delivered that, because in like the first Thor, she's kind of just the wife of Odin. But this one, they give her not as much screen time, most definitely not as much screen time, but they did make some improvements, I thought, on the character, with her intellect and her skills.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, she is the mother of a warrior, you know, and it's made very clear by this movie. She gives a good performance, but also just the things they have her do, it's like, they make her important even in her limited capacity, and she does drive the plot for certain specific reasons we won't get into here. It's exactly like you said. It's like there is at least one scene where you're like, oh yeah, that's Thor's mother. So she does a great job.
Reason to see number 9. Christopher Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston.
He plays the main villain, the Dark Elf.
Malekith, I think his name is?
Yeah, and he was cool. I didn't think he was necessarily like super special, but what he has, it is technically great at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's not super written, which we'll get into later, but it's like, he still anchored the screen. It's like, I wish they might have written him a bit better, but it was like, I still really dug his performance. I liked just his vibe and his aura, and, you know, you could tell he believed in it. Like, he delivers a really good performance with what he's given. And he still manages, at least, you know, intermittently to be threatening.
What he has, though, is this, like, one, like, ultimate soldier, in a way, who is pretty fucking scary. Like, he was a good match for Thor, in my opinion. Like, he was pretty fucking cool.
Well, yeah, it's like, he's the leader of this idea, and then he's got his general.
Yeah.
Who is just a beast.
A menace.
Yeah, just a beast, you know, and it's pretty sick.
Reason to see number 10.
Chris ODowd. This guy has the best minute of screen time you'll ever see.
I see you, Chris.
Yeah, no, he's barely in it. He's like just a little side character for Natalie Portman's character. But he's pretty fucking funny and he's charming, and like every time he was on screen for the good minute he had, he was still like, what a charming motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like, and they were smart to choose him because it's like he has such a natural charm, charisma, everyman quality.
Insecurity as well.
He's the perfect guy for this little bitty role, and it's just so much fun to have him around because he just does such a good job at it.
He's not necessarily important, but he's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's good. He's like one of my favorite. They're like 5 Earth characters, but he definitely shines.
Reasons not to see. Parts of the script. There's some like weird tonal shifts, especially like we talked about earlier with the humor. But my biggest script problems would have to come with Natalie Portman's character. She is important. She's definitely important, but she doesn't get as much screen time, and the screen time she has, I had some issues with. It's in the trailer. She gets to Asgard at one point, and when she shows up, she goes to this whole space, traveling through realms. You know, she's not a fucking astronaut or anything, but when she lands in this whole new planet full of life, she's just like, that was sweet, let's do it again. That was fun.
Yeah.
There's like no sense of wonder or shock or fear, which is what any human would go through when you're traveling through space.
Yeah, it's like she gets to Asgard and then immediately they swap her personality with Darcy. It's like, these are all Darcy's lines that now Natalie Portman is for some reason saying. So
in case you guys don't remember, Darcy is the
Kat
intern.
Dennings, yeah.
Kat Dennings is the intern to her. Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't detract heavily from the movie, but there is a good 10 minutes or so where everything she does is like, these are on principle the proper reactions, but you're saying them like a completely different character. Like,
and then when she starts behaving like Thor's little teenage girlfriend, that's when I was like, what? This seems so out of character.
Overall with the script, my problems are only minor. Like, nothing that really heavily detracted from the movie for me, but I sort of, looking back on it, feel like a lot of the Earth stuff isn't really all that necessary other than because we know who these people are from the first movie. It's like, I wish they gave us a little more to be like, oh, this is why they're working together, and this is why we need to have them in the movie. They're kind of just there. Also with the villain, it's like, I wish they had given him a little more. I wish they'd made him just a bit more threatening. Since we get so many of these big superhero action movies, is that after a while, it's hard to make a villain feel truly threatening without giving their actions huge impact. And it's like everything's leading up to his master plan, but I wish there was more collateral damage or something like that to make him a bit more truly terrifying.
Yeah.
The script, you know, it's a little rough in spots.
Ryan's consensus. Another wonderful addition to the Marvel canon is the reason to see Thor: The Dark World. Another wonderful addition to the Marvel canon is the reason to see Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, it's just a great science fiction fantasy adventure with a lot of humor, a lot of action, and I just had a total blast.
Jerry's consensus. A fun comic book epic is the reason to see Thor: The Dark World.
A fun comic book epic is the reason to see Thor: The Dark World.
You know, it's like they take all that stuff you wanted more of and they give you more of it, and it's like a full-on sprawling, you know, fantasy epic movie.
Alright guys, thanks for checking out our review for Thor: The Dark World. Why don't you go ahead, scroll that comment box below, and tell us, who's your favorite Avenger?
And once you're done with that, why don't you come over here and click on this button so you can see more episodes of Reasons to See.
And once you're done with that, why don't you go ahead, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook.
And once you're done with all that stuff, maybe you want to get updated every time a new review or a video is out if you're a fan of the show. Well, if that's the case, you're going to want to subscribe.
Click that button, homies. Enjoy yourself.
That's right. Enjoy yourself while you're clicking, and we want it to be a fun experience.
Yeah, masturbate while you're watching this video. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It's the privacy of your own home, I hope. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're masturbating to us while you're watching this, that's a fucking compliment.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you know, don't do it on like a subway train, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you get good reception on your phone while you're on a subway train, but
yeah,
I mean, if you got a phone that good, by all means, you deserve to masturbate in front of people.
Yeah, it's like I'm a little bit flattered.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy, but flattering at the same time.
Why don't you comment below and tell us if you're masturbating to us?